This is that
unfortunately.
this is that thing where we start to compare. We start to compare with the people of Limhi and what they went through, their bondage, and now here's Alma and their bondage, their story. But you want to go, but Alma and them got it right off the bat. You know, they covenanted with God. They got baptized. They repented of their sins, and yet here we are. They're still going to go under bondage, the same as Limhi's people did, pretty much. But Limhi's people took forever. You know, all the battles they did trying to save themselves, they never turned to God first. They took forever. They sort of did it at the end of the 20-something year period when Alma and them did it at the beginning. So it's pretty interesting to see that and see the contrast in those two things. I think this is a great example of the truth that God doesn't allow us to go through trials only to punish us for wrongdoing. It's not always just because we've done something wrong we go through a trial. Obviously, trials can come up for many different reasons, for stuff we didn't even do or whatever. And but he wants us to learn. He wants us to learn and always remember to lean on him and to trust him at all times. And that's the underlying, to me, that's the underlying message in all this, is to lean on the Lord, trust in the Lord. No matter what happens, have patience, have faith. You might be doing the very best you can do, and just all of a sudden, just these things come upon you, all these trials, and it's like you just got to keep on striving. You know,
absolutely.
I'm really not trying to put a shameless plug there, but it's, you know,
you make a good point.
Mormon kind of gives the commentary on that. You know, when they were prospering and they developed this city. In 21, he says, "Nevertheless, the Lord seeth fit to chasten his people."
Yeah,
he trieth their patience and their faith. Nevertheless, whoso putteth his trust in the same shall be lifted up at the last day. Mm-hmm. And yea, thus it was with this people. Again, that coming from Mormon teaching us that we have to turn to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Absolutely,
to be able to be brought out of that bondage, just like you're saying.
Oh yeah. And I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Kenny. Go ahead.
That's you can tell when it starts getting good, when we start talking over each other. We're getting excited. I wanted to say something really quick about what Marcus said. I think I've mentioned this before, but I think it's a really important point to note that you know, like we're reading here, sometimes, you know, the Lord allows inflictions to come upon us for us to learn a lesson or something, but that's not always the case. And I think it's really important to understand that sometimes things just happen because they happen. And I hear people all the time want to say, well, why has God done this horrible thing? Or why, you know, and people want to attribute every single thing that happens in their lives or in the world to God, whether it's good or bad. And that's not always necessarily correct, because sometimes things happen, you know, sometimes horrible things happen because other people make bad choices. You know, people who have power, authority make bad choices. Sometimes people happen just because we live in a fallen world where viruses replicate, you know, and things like this. Sometimes things happen, and you know, sometimes it is the Lord's hand, you know, causing things to happen. But sometimes things happen just because it's the world we live in, and we have to understand to trust in God and lean on Him to get through these things, and not, you can't always blame God for every single thing that happens. You know, this isn't necessarily a plague that He's brought upon the world, or you know, things like that. So don't want to get off on a tangent, but I think it's important to really,
but it is important. That's the stuff that that's the reason we read the stuff that we read, and the Book of Mormon is there so that we can take this stuff and put it into our lives. But we live in a world with billions of people that have agency, and things are going to happen. I mean, it's, you know, but the underlying thread that should continuously run through our lives is to lean and trust on the Lord, and trust in the Lord. And that's just that. I really feel like, with me during these chapters I've been reading, I really feel that way as I read these. Just lean on the Lord, you know.
Yeah, I think of people that, as y'all talked about that I mean, there are honestly people that really struggle with that. You know, why does God allow bad things to happen? He, you know, and that they may understand that God doesn't necessarily make those things happen, but if He is God, being an all-powerful God, why does He allow that to happen? I mean, if He's all powerful, He can definitely stop it if He wants to. But like we've discussed, it's, you know, these things are for whether we realize or not. Just like He told Joseph Smith in Liberty Jail, when Joseph Smith was asking, you know, why is this happening? Why are you allowing this to happen? You know, why are you allowing your people to suffer? You know, and He says, all things shall be for thy good.
That's exactly right. That's basically the reason, and it's that reason's usually not good enough for a lot of people, especially when they're in the midst of the trial, but that's just what it is.
Yeah.
You can break it down to something simple. A lot of this is a result of agency and a result of the fall.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
One of the first things that Adam and Eve were told was that thorns and thistles would grow spontaneously. It's just the natural nature of being in a fallen state that those things are going to happen. And heaven to bets if you've got a burr weed in your lawn right now.
Yeah, right.
And that's just a physical thing, but spiritually we have those burr weeds that are growing in our lives, again, as a result of the fall, as a result of agency.
Yep.
Because we're in this mortal state.